We don't just build wealth, we build legacy. Welcome to the Retirement Income for Life show with Doug Vincent. For over 30 years, Doug has helped families right here in the D.C. area turn hard work into lasting income, helping you protect what you've earned, provide for your family, and retire on your terms. This is where preparation meets opportunity. This is the Retirement Income for Life show. Here's Doug Vincent.
As I have said to you before, we are here to schedule complimentary consultations for you. If you've been listening and understanding what we've been doing really for the last 30 years right here in the DMV, we're willing to work with you at no cost, no obligation. We want you to have a plan that will position you for retirement income for life. Also, listen to us and previous episodes on our website. Just search your favorite podcast, Retirement Income, the number 4 for life. Your YouTube subscribers, people that use YouTube as well. Please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions. We are here to help you, especially if you are in the DMV area. Our office is in Greenbelt, Maryland. Phone number 301-242-3950. And once again, you can visit our website at Retirement Income, the number 4 life.com. So today's show, here's an overview. We're going to talk about this inflation. We'll talk about how Social Security isn't keeping up with rising prices. We're going to talk about the sandwich generation. Many Americans are stuck caring for their older mothers, their older fathers, as well as now caring for their teenagers and college students and those 20-year-olds that have returned home even after they have left. So we'll talk about the sandwich generation. Thirdly, 4 money moves that you will regret. There are 4 money moves. If you don't avoid these, you will regret that you have made these money moves. So we'll talk about financial moves that you want to avoid. And then we'll wrap up today with planning the work and working the plan. We're talking personalizing your plan, making sure you have your own personalized retirement income plan for life. We'll look at a lot of surveys and things that are going on in America today that you need to be aware of. All right, our quote of the week. This is your financial wisdom nugget, and it is from Sam Ewing. Sam Ewing says, inflation is when you pay $15 for the $10 haircut you used to get for $5 when you had hair. I'm not a comedian, but that's kind of funny. You get the point. Inflation, guys. Inflation, that check has arrived, but guess what? The raise already ran out. That check came in, but the raise, the cost of living adjustment, specifically with Social Security recipients, it is already, you already have more month than money, and you've been getting cost of living adjustments. These cost of living adjustments, they're designed to help you benefit with keeping pace with inflation. And, every year, millions of retirees discover that, hey, that raise hit my account and inflation has already eaten up most of it. This year is really no different for 2026. And in fact, a lot of people, it's even worse. Let's take a look back. So 2025, Social Security benefits were increased by 2.8%. So there was a cost of living adjustment at 2.8%. But the problem is in inflation for this year, looking back to March, came in at 3.3%. So inflation is already outpacing the adjustments retirees received. And when you look at what's actually driving that inflation, the picture gets even a little bit more, personal. That headline inflation rate of 3.3, but let's trickle that down to the real pain of your gas prices, and just thinking about real life Social Security benefits. Let's say that were $2,000 a month, that 2.8% only got you to $2,056. And then, that those gas prices basically ate that up, not to, mention food or anything else of that nature. Right. So you're going to feel that pinch. Retirees are being pinched through education costs, clothing, younger people in their households. You just feel trapped because that raise that you receive, the bottom line is it's really not a raise. Right. So Social Security, as we mentioned, doesn't use what we call the Consumer Price Index, the CIP. They don't set that annual COLA based on that, right? So the CPI, it gives more weight, to gasoline than, the CPI U. So the CPIW, to be specific, gives more weight to gasoline than the CPIU. So this sounds like it should work in your favor, but this COLA is set based on the average CIPW for July through September of the prior year. By the time the adjustment takes in effect in January, an inflation environment may have already shifted significantly. So in other words, just in layman's terms, that COLA is already looking backwards. So if you are dependent upon Social Security as a primary source of retirement income and you are banking on a cost of living adjustment, it's going to be very difficult to keep up with inflation. And, not to even mention what you're paying for groceries. We already talked about gas. And so this structure lag is one of the reasons retirees consistently feel like their benefits are keeping up, even in years when you've got that cost of living adjustment. That math is just not mathing, right? The math is working against you before the check even arrives. So let's look forward to 2027, where there's potentially a silver lining that's going to come through. If inflation stays elevated through the third quarter of this year, which is July, August, and September, the 2027 cost of living adjustment could be one of the higher adjustments retirees have seen in several years. So the Senior Citizens League is currently estimating that the 2027 cost of living adjustment to be around 4%. Now, 4%, as we mentioned, is higher than 3.3. So based on current inflation trends, that would be a meaningful increase, right? But the calculation won't be finalized until the fall of this year. So you got to keep tuning in, keep looking in to understand what actually happened and what really fleshed out for you. Continue to listen to us and other information out there to get this full picture when it finally fleshes out. So the honest reality about that, ideally retirees wouldn't need a big COLA because it would mean inflation had returned to healthy levels, right? A larger adjustment next year doesn't erase the purchasing power that's lost this year. Okay, it's a catch-up mechanism, not a solution. It's worth remembering a higher COLA next year only helps you if you have a plan that bridges the gap between now and then. The COLA didn't help you this year, right? And so what's that going to mean for your retirement plan? Well, I'm glad you asked. If Social Security is your primary or only source of retirement income, this gap between the cost of living and actual inflation is not a temporary inconvenience. It's a structural problem that compounds over time and quietly erodes your standard of living year after year. This is exactly why building a diversified retirement income strategy matters so much. Social Security was always designed to just be a foundation, right? Not the whole building. Supplementing it with income sources that can flex with inflation is what keeps a retirement plan durable for the next 20, 30, potentially 40 years, right? So higher gas prices are visible and immediate. They're hitting us every week right now. $5 at the pump is very, very normal right here in the DMV. But the more dangerous inflation for retirees is slowing, right? Steady kind that works on, but the more dangerous inflation for retirees, it's slow, but steady. It's the kind that works on healthcare costs, groceries, and utilities over the years, right? So it's not just gas. You're also factoring in a number of factors: what you're eating, what you're paying for gas and electric, your healthcare costs. I'll pray you don't ever have to have a long-term care need. We'll talk about that a little later. But if you're relying just on Social Security, right, and you're hoping that that cost of living, is going to allow you to keep pace with all these actual costs of living, this is the year that you're really going to have to take a hard look at this, whether your income plan has enough flexibility in it to handle these gaps. These gaps are coming. I believe taxes are going to go higher. I believe healthcare is going to be higher. You really need to take a look at Social Security just being the starting point, not the finish line, right? The gap between what that check covers from Social Security and what your life actually costs. This is a problem. And without a good retirement plan, you really are not in position to solve these problems, right? So if you're worried, so think about it right now. If you're worried that inflation is outrunning, your retirement income, right? You're not sure your plan is built to handle, your income lasting you for life. This is why you need to give us a call. This is why you need to set up your free consultation on our website, that we will talk to you and we will try our best, to work with you to have a retirement income plan that will last you for life. So locally here, just call us at 301-249-3950. And always our website at retirement income, the number 4 for life. Let us take a look at your full picture and let us try to work with you to make sure, inflation is not, putting you in a position to where you won't be able to survive over these next 10 or so years. All right. So let's look at another option another topic that we want to discuss today. And the financial realities of cost of living and inflation really challenging our Americans and people in the DMV that are in their 40s and their 50s. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about the financial reality of what we're calling now the sandwich generation. This is a group of you all, including myself, that we're not only still raising and supporting our adult children, at the same time, we're working with our aging parents who also have financial responsibilities that we're caring for. Financial experts are calling what you and I are going through, we're part of what they call the sandwich generation, right? And if you're in it, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. Grown children you're helping to support, older parents that you're helping to support, and let alone you're trying to, save for your retirement, So what you might not know is just how much this is costing you, and as it relates to you, not just today, but in terms of your own retirement. Okay. The sandwich generation, let's talk about that for a minute. The sandwich generation typically refers to adults between roughly 40 and 59. Okay. So if you're in the age group of 40 to 59, you're who I'm talking to right now. And simultaneously, you're supporting your children, right? Adult children, maybe they're in college, maybe they're, in trade school, maybe they're just in your basement playing video games. I don't know. But at the same time that you are working with your adult children, you're caring for one or more of your parents. This is a reality. My mother-in-law lived with me for 12 years, loved her. We enjoyed it. That wasn't a part of her, dream retirement. And it wasn't a part of my working years. We worked through it, and it was something that we had to deal with. But the reality is I had a child on her way to college, and, thankfully, she has graduated, and, we worked through this. But this is something that you must focus on. About 23% of U.S. adults currently find themselves in this position. 1 in 4 American adults are managing care responsibilities on both ends of the generational spectrum at the same time. The financial pressure compounds, right? Now you're stressed. This is emotional weight as well. You have an aging parent that you're concerned about, you want to love on and take care of. You have a child or children that you want to make sure have the best education, or you're providing for them. But at the same time, you've got commitments for your short and long term while you're working 40, 60 hours a week. Okay, this can really get stressful as you are trying to navigate through this, as well as it taking a toll on your retirement. So nearly 75% of sandwich generation Americans have already changed their retirement plans because of the caregiving responsibilities, reducing their own savings. You're going to have to potentially reduce your own savings, delaying retirement. Now you're working longer than you planned on it. And then also pulling money out of accounts that you've already built up, unexpectedly. You didn't realize you were going to have to pull this money out. And so about 28% of sandwich generation caregivers spend $1,000 or more per month directly on caregiving costs, right? Nearly half have reduced their retirement contributions because of this financial strain. This is a reality that we have to plan for and position into our retirement income plans for life, right? So in practical terms, if you reduce your retirement contributions for even 5 years during your peak earning years, right, that long-term effect on your portfolio with compounding could really be devastating to your account. This money, you're not putting it in during your highest earning years, your 40s and your 50s, and it's just disappearing. So this could take decades to see future growth, and this risk isn't just financially exhausting now, right? It's arriving at your own retirement where you have far less planned for it, right? Because you're too busy trying to hold everybody else down, and as well as, build that foundation for your own retirement. Okay. Now, one other statistics, let me point this out related to long-term care, is that approximately 70% of people turning age 65 will need some form of long-term care at some point in their lives. And this is straight from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services website. And this care, think about it. Let me ask you a question. You think long-term care is inexpensive or expensive? Inexpensive or expensive? No, it is expensive. Just adult daycare alone, $24,700 on average a year. If you needed home non-medical caregiving, on average, $80,000 a year. Semi-private nursing home, on average, $115,000 a year. Private nursing home, $130,000. So guess what? Your dream retirement without a retirement income plan for life. Okay, in place to take some of these risks off the table. A part of your dream retirement could be you're moving in with your kids. A part of your dream retirement could be you don't retire because you took care of a retiree and you're taking care of an adult child. Okay, long-term care is real, and you have to make provisions for it. You have to make sure it doesn't disrupt your retirement plan and plans, and that you have to really think through how you're going to currently, of course, take care of your aging parent. You're definitely going to do that, right? But it's also time to build in things, if this is not you, before the crisis happens, before you need long-term care for yourself or for an aging parent, or before your kids are, 5-10 years away from college, whatever it might be. We need to start these conversations a little bit earlier. Okay. The conversations aren't being had until the crisis shows up, and that's too late. Okay. As a financial advisor, I'm consistently saying that the single biggest mistake families make is waiting until a parent is hospitalized or incapacitated to think through the financial implications, right? Early planning gives you far more tools, far more flexibility. Crisis planning and prevention beforehand can really end up well, right? So you want to explore the long-term care funding options now, different ways of going about it, traditional long-term care insurance, adding riders to certain cash accounts that you have, maybe some annuities, savings in your savings and checking account for that that down the road care that might be needed. There are a number of different ways to earmark funds for long-term care before it happens. So you want to get a plan that accounts for all three generations, right? The families who navigate this best aren't the ones with the most money. It's not always the most money. It's the ones that have planned early, made deliberate decisions, about, how they could fund these different things and how they couldn't, and then building a structure around the priorities before life just basically forced you into the issue. So finally, on this topic here, being sandwiched between two generations of people you love, that's one of the most demanding things life can ask you. So think about that, right? Are you going to drain everything you've built trying to send your child to college, and then that child or children come back from college without work and now they're back at home while you are there now taking care of your mom who needs long-term care, or your dad who needs long-term care, or both of them? Okay. So it is extremely important for your retirement future. It's extremely important, right? That if you're in this sandwich generation category and you can see this coming, and you don't have a plan in place that accounts for both the care of these costs, ahead of your retirement. Okay. We want to make sure you have your retirement in place, as well as costs for your adult children, and, that loving mom or dad, all of those costs you want to account for. And so this is the exact type of planning conversations we're having every day. And so, as I said, reach out to us. Our phone number directly is 301-242-3950. You can always set up a free consultation right online at retirementincomethenumber4life.com. Set that free consultation up. We even have a free downloadable retirement income for life survivors kit. We've packaged this with all of these things in mind that will accompany your free consultation, things you can think through well before, you get to these areas where you have to make decisions. So whether you're looking to optimize, your investment portfolio, maximize Social Security, we want to help you create a comprehensive retirement income plan. Our team's ready to assist you every step of the way. Just give us a call, 301-242-3950, or as I mentioned before, right online, retirement income, the number 4, for number 4life.com. Retirement income, the number 4life.com. Book your consultation today, and we look forward to helping you achieve your retirement dreams. All right, number 3 for today's show, our topic is 4 money moves you can possibly regret in 10 years. Matter of fact, if you do these, I know you will regret them. So these are 4 money moves you will regret in the next 10 years. And so we spend a lot of time on this part in our first few meetings with clients, but here's the big picture of retirement income and Social Security, and all of these topics that we discuss on a regular basis. Is you want to make sure that you take a step back, you look at your everyday financial habits, quietly pull back and just say, hey, maybe ask yourself some questions about, hey, how old you are, small decisions that you maybe made over the last few years. Have you been moving in the wrong direction? Just take a honest assessment of how you feel about your finances. What we see is really, these are our top 4 that we see people making these mistakes, and we want to help them try to avoid this. And the number 1 is you're budgeting too late. Okay. Most people don't want to live off of a budget, but then don't have enough money in retirement, don't have enough money for an emergency. don't have enough money if the car broke down, or you needed a new hot water heater, or whatever it might be. And so then now you're always in crisis mode, putting items on credit cards that you're paying too high interest on. And if you're not doing damage control related to budgeting, it can really, really start to put a strain on you being able to ever, really save any money. And so that's the first area that we want to focus in on, is that how much money do you have that's budgeted in your budget, that every single month this money is going towards this area of savings, or this area of retirement planning, or is all of your extra money, because you're not living on a budget, going towards credit card debt, or things of that nature. And so we want to make sure, when we first start a retirement income plan, that you have set up your budget. Exactly how much money is coming in per month. How much is going out. And the real cost, isn't just, you're paying too much in interest, or, this interest rate is too high on this credit card. Listen to expert Melissa Sid. This is how she puts it. Living beyond your means might provide temporary satisfaction, but it often leads to a cycle of debt that can be challenging for you to ever break free from. Is that you today? Think about that right now, that the real cost isn't just that high interest rate on that credit card. It's the compounding opportunity you lose while you're trying to dig out of that hole. So we want to start with a budget. Number 2, start saving for retirement early, as early as possible. As early as possible, contribute to that IRA, that 401k. As early as possible, get the matching from the job if they're going to give you free money. Whatever it might be, the earlier you start, right? Retirement is going to feel distant when you're young. When you're 25, 35, even 45, it might seem like that's an eternity away. But that feeling is exactly what makes it so costly. The math on compounding is unforgiving, right? So starting at 25 instead of 40 doesn't just give you more years. It gives your money more time to multiply on itself. It's just compounding on itself. So you don't need to start big, right? $10 a week, $25 a month, whatever it might be. This invested consistently over a 40-year period will grow into a meaningful sum. Trust me, I see this every day from those that are preparing to retire, that have contributed to their plan for 25, 30, 35 years, right? This amount that you put in, it matters less than the habit of doing it every time you get paid, right? That habit is the most important thing, and that's why you have to start now. All right. Number 3, not having an emergency fund. We kind of talked about that related to the budget, but you have to have an emergency fund. Okay. And the way we look at an emergency fund is that you have a certain amount of money in a savings account, money that you can get that can easily go into your checking account, that can easily go towards liquidity, with just the push of a button to transfer from one account to another, right? This is a financial cushion for unexpected debt. When was the last time you knew that emergency car light was going to come on, right? Or that, my engine failed, or the hot water heater broke down, or you had a leak, you never know. These car repairs, these medical bills, job disruption, without an emergency fund to tap into, right? Guess where you're tapping? You're tapping that credit card. And that credit card balance is going to carry interest and debt that you're going to be dealing with months and possibly years later. So an ideal target for you right now, if you're listening right now, an ideal target for you to have in an emergency fund would be 3 to 6 months would be an ideal target. Some of you can go 6 to 9 months, right? You don't need it all at once, but you do need to start building on it, because the goal is to have this in place well before you ever need it. Okay, when it's time to pay that car bill, it's too late. All right, and so we want to make sure that you have a healthy emergency fund, and those that we see that have that healthy emergency fund, they have focused in on a budget. The people that have started early saving in their retirement accounts, these people and these individuals right here in the DMV are ready to retire. All right, number 4, and our last one for today is you have to avoid not investing beyond a savings account. Okay, some of you are actually being too conservative in your savings. Okay, yes, you want an emergency fund. Yes, you want a checking savings account, maybe CDs, money markets, things of that nature. Right. But if you're keeping all your money in what we call the feel safe zone, right, the very, very ultra conservative zone, over a 10 to 20 year horizon, inflation now is going to quickly, or should I say actually slowly, erode that purchasing power. Remember, we were saying that inflation was tracking at about 3.3%. What if I added in cost of living? If we added a combined cost of living and inflation rate on average for the last 75 years, that's about 4.8%. Okay. So if savings in your check, just think about, what are you getting interest wise in your checking account? What are you getting interest wise, even in that CD? All right. What are you getting interest wise from your saving account? You have to consider diversity over the long haul, so that you're investing this money in places other than just banking instruments, other than places other than the savings account, right? You want to build wealth over time by a healthy, diversified plan where you're investing, not just saving, right? You don't have to be an expert to get started. Low cost mutual funds, index funds, steady contributions there, time in the market, does the heavy lifting, but only if you start, right? The common thread through all 4 of these items is what? Think about it. You need time. You need time for this compounding interest and these savings accounts to accumulate, right? Every one of them gets harder and more expensive the longer that you wait. So the best move you can make today is just stop waiting. Stop waiting and start making sure you avoid all 4 of these financial risks, right? So if this is sounding familiar to you and you're ready to stop waiting and you want, someone to assist you, as I've been saying, today, that we're here to help, we're here to assist, we're here to consult. Give us a call here at 301-242-3950. You can set up a consultation with us right online at retirement income, the number 4 for life.com. We are here to help you. Grab that free retirement income for life survival kit right here at our website, retirement income, the number 4 for life, the number 4 life.com, retirement income for life.com. So we look forward to helping you. We look forward to making sure you avoid all of these risks and that we continue to move forward towards your healthy retirement. All right. The plan that you put in place is going to make the difference. The plan, the retirement plan you put in place will make the difference. Okay. Number of different surveys have been put in place. One that we've seen here recently that I'll quote to you from Goldman Sachs. And even practically, right here in the DMV, we talk to a lot of people that listen to the show, that come into our office, come to our workshops, and they are emphasizing to us, they're thanking us for really encouraging them to have a plan, not just a general idea of what retirement might look like. And, I'm hoping that this happens, but an actual written plan. a personalized retirement plan, one that spells out your contribution rates, right? How much I'm putting in each month, each year, my income target goals. What kind of income do I want this accumulate to distribute eventually, right? How your assets are positioned so that you get there. And now this new survey that I mentioned from Goldman puts a new number on exactly what that plan is worth, right? The results are hard, for me to ignore. And so that's why I wanted to bring this up to you. So according to Goldman Sachs, their latest retirement survey on people that they've surveyed who retire with a written personalized plan and have a savings to income ratio, this group has a savings to income ratio of 5.92 times their annual income. So you do that math, and so that's people with a plan, 5.92 times annual income. All right. Those without one, those that just winged it and hope to get there, these are the people that they surveyed. They were still savers, but without a written plan, their income. So it was 4.68 times for them. So 5.92 with those with a written plan, right? Savings to income plan. Savings to income ratio was 5.92 with a written plan, and 4.68 savings to income ratio for those that didn't. Okay, so think about it. Do you want more full-time income in retirement? Do you want more than than what you're making now? Do you want which one of those would you rather have? 4.68 times or 5.92 times? All right. 6 times or 5 times? A written plan doesn't raise your income. It raises your outcomes. Did you hear what I just said? A written plan, a retirement income plan, is not going to raise your income. It's not going to cause you to make more money. It's just going to cause you to raise the outcome of what happens in the end. All right. It creates a confidence gap, right? There's a confidence gap that's even wider, right, than a savings gap. As you're seeing more money grow, and as you're seeing that written plan come to life, right, you're gonna have more confidence. More confidence to save, right? Once that starts to happen, right? And so, among workers in America today, okay, we have a number of as we were saying before, we've looked at a number of different surveys, and we've looked at a number of different people who are dealing with this not being confident in their savings plan, not thinking that they're going to get to the end and have enough money to retire because of these factors that we're talking about now, right? Personalized planning adds confidence. It adds readiness, right? Personalized planning, contributes to you being more effective, right? This data, puts real numbers, in place, right? Housing costs has risen. We're sure about that, right? Healthcare is going to keep rising, right? Child care is going to keep rising. That gap, that instead of having 6% versus 5%, that could really, stop you from having a dream retirement. You may have to work longer. You may have situations to where you can't do all the trips that you wanted to do. Okay. And so with that in mind, this survey breaks down exactly how individual financial behaviors stack up in terms of these retirement outcomes that we have been discussing, right? Striking difference. And, I know I want to be in that 6% area versus 5%. So saving early, we've been talking about that, is also a part of the survey, and it adds about 14% to your retirement outcomes. To be specific, 14% to your retirement outcomes. And that's significant. And it's the piece most people focus on, right? Personalized planning, though, adds 27%. Right. So think about that. Most people focus on savings, right? So that's going to move things up by 14%. but personalized planning adds 27%, right? So what does that mean? So that means that the act of having a written plan contributes nearly what? Twice as much to your retirement readiness as simply stating you're ready or simply starting to save early, right? The biggest factor of all is what the report calls financial grit, right? Financial grit, what's that? Behavioral consistency over time. Behavioral consistency over time. It's going to be very hard to stick to a plan that you haven't written down. It's going to be very hard to be consistent to a plan that you haven't put on paper, right? Sticking to the plan, right? Staying invested through the up and down markets. Your plan should have already mapped out that there's going to be volatility in the market as you're accumulating, assets, right? This also helps because it's written down. It also helps you not to make emotional decisions, right? Making emotional decisions contributes to 49% of retirement outcomes. The market went down, you sold when you should have been buying. The market went up. The market went up, you sold, you should have held. Emotional decisions have people buying high and selling low. No, within a healthy retirement income plan that is built for longevity, we've already factored in the emotional volatility that can derail you. And so we've already had these discussions to not get emotionally tied in to the ups and downs of the market, right? And so if you have a retirement plan, but you don't have, a retirement account, I should say, but no written plan, no clearly defined income target, no withdrawal strategy, okay, no roadmap for how that account becomes a paycheck, your accumulation eventually has to distribute. Okay, so if you're in that category, it's very likely, that, as this survey said, 41% don't feel like they're on track. Okay, when you can't see how the accumulation is going to turn into distribution and asset preservation and retirement income for life, you're really not going to feel like you're on track. Now, here's the good news is that this is one of the most actionable findings in the retirement research, right? Is that you can easily increase your overnight or eliminate the rising cost of housing or healthcare. This is something that can be done overnight, but you have to have that planned out, right? According to this survey, those that are putting this in place and that are putting these plans in place, right? This single step is worth about 27% more money in retirement savings. Okay, 27% more retirement savings as you put together a plan related to housing and healthcare. Okay, that personalized plan isn't a luxury reserved for people just with large portfolios, right? That personalized plan, that's the tool. Okay, you can have a lot of money, but not the right tools, and you can still really mess this up. So it's the tool that helps you build a portfolio in the first place, and then make sure it's working as hard as possible for the life that you want to have down the road. So if you're looking to retire at 70 or 65 or 62, the question should be why. That's the age I've chosen. The question should be, have I, like these people that were surveyed, put together a written plan to get to my income target, not just my age target? Have I factored in built-in raises for cost of living and inflation? These surveys are good, but you that are listening right now, this is real life, right? This is real life for you. And I know one day you want to be in full retirement, which means the hardest work you have to do is make sure the money hit the account. Make sure the Social Security check came in, the pension check came in, the IRA, whatever it might be, you want to make sure that you are financially confident to have retirement income for life. So think about it. What we're talking about here is the differentiator of this all is income and the structure to get you to that income, right? It's knowing where you're going, having a map to get there. So like we've been saying, if you don't have a written plan and you're not sure, we're here to help you. We're here to reflect on all the pieces that you may have already put together. But even if you're starting from the beginning, give us a call, 301-242-3950. We're here to help you. Free consultations right on our website, retirement income, the number 4 for life.com. You can set that up today. We will work with you. All you have to do is just let us know you want some help, and we'll take it from there. And so one of the things that we do finally, as we sit down together and we review, the big picture with you, we always remind our clients and those that are potential clients that this is all about you. We've got all the prescriptions, but we have to start with you. We don't do any prescribing without a full diagnosis. We've got to understand your goals, your concerns, the kind of retirement lifestyle you want to have. How do you want to travel? What is your family time? Are you giving back? What's the peace of mind plan for retirement that you want to have, right? We take a deep dive into what you've currently done. We look for, where you may be exposed to risk. Maybe you may be exposed to too much in taxes. Different strategies are going to work for different times of your life. And so we want to dig in on those while also identifying, different gaps that you may have, different opportunities, strategies that you may not have considered. Many people don't realize, where they may be overexposed to risk as they get into their 60s. Okay. You're missing income opportunities while staying too much in the market and leaving your money exposed to too much volatility, as well as not looking at the blind spots related to potential tax savings. So you're going to need, and this is what we help people build on a daily basis, is a clear, personalized strategy, right? You'll walk away with straightforward information, easy to understand, designed, easy to understand plans of action, no jargon and, big words. And, we're not trying to impress you. We will just really sit down with you and build a clear, personalized strategy. As you get to retirement, once again, accumulation strategies, which I pray you've done very well in accumulating. Accumulation strategies are not the same as income distribution strategies. You got to get this money out now to you to last for a lifetime. To last for, watch this, you may have a full career in retirement. People living longer or shorter today. Think about it. Are people living longer or shorter today? People are living longer. And so we need income that can be provided to you with security, right? Retirement isn't just about growing your money, right? It's about turning it into reliable income that's going to last you until you die. So we help you understand how to create that paycheck in retirement, self-directed pensions, how to maximize your current pension, how to turn on that 401k for income, right? And so we don't rush through this. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We answer all your questions, no pressure. If you don't want to work with us, that's fine as well. We are here for a second opinion, a first opinion, open conversations and dialogue so that you feel confident with next steps that you are taking. This is so important for you to take action. Like I said, no obligation. We're here to help you. Second opinion, get you started. It all starts with just a simple conversation. And that could be the most important decision that you ever make. Okay. So we are here to help you, as I said, with a retirement income for life plan. Give us a call, 301-242-3950. Always on our website, go and download those resources. We have a retirement income for life survival kit for your charge. You can download that right now at retirement income, the number 4 life.com. So we look forward to working with you, scheduling a complimentary consultation. Do that today, and we'll take that first step to a more confident, secure retirement.